Yo guys, welcome to a new video. Today we're talking about Last Night in Soho. You know, in the review of Stillwater, I was talking about the fact that in Belgium and the Netherlands, we usually get movies a little bit later. If they're big blockbusters, we actually get them 2 days in advance. Today, I've seen a movie a month before it actually comes out. Yeah, so in Belgium, we have this event called the We Love Cinema Days, and every movie you go to will be cheapened in price, and you actually get to see a lot of avant-premieres or pre-releases before they actually come out in cinema. A couple of movies I could see this way were Till Death, were Cop Shop, were Last Night in Soho, were The Nest, and were some other movies. The Protégé and Prisoners of the Ghostland were two among them. Too bad I'm really busy this week, so I couldn't watch any of them except for Last Night in Soho, and I really wanted to watch this one because it looked awesome. Add to that, it has Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie, two of my favorite actresses in the world, especially Thomasin McKenzie. I just love her and love what she's doing. So yeah, the fact that I got to see this new Edgar Wright movie a month before it actually comes out actually makes me really happy, just because I was so excited for it and just because this movie is awesome in every way. So I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this now so you know it, and I hope you're still watching for it. But if you ever get to see this movie in a movie theater, the movie theaters are open where you live, just go to see it. It's worth it. It's better in a movie theater. I'm not gonna say that you'll love it, because the story, I kinda get why some people aren't liking this, but for me it was perfect, and I think a lot of you guys also are gonna think this was a great movie. Maybe not perfect, but the story, the acting, the Edgar Wright style of it, it's awesome and it works in every way. And it's something new because he hasn't done horror before like this. He hasn't done a psychological horror events. Now he did, and he did good. So go watch this movie. It's worth it. Thank you. Let's just start with saying that the story was extremely well written. The way we go from this 21st century to the 60s is great. The way the story evolves in that is great. How we see Eloise and how she acts in London as she is not familiar with London is great. It's really good written. Add to that her transcend into madness in the end. It's awesome, it's great, and you actually really do care for her character because she goes through some really tough shit. And once the story gets going to the 60s, the story really never lets you go. I was there from the first second up until the last second when the credits were rolling. It was that intense, it never lets you go. It gives you some moments to breathe in between, and that's great, but overall the story is one big intense ride full of magic. The topics about prostitution and being a woman in the 60s are also really good and actually make you think for yourself. The transitions from 21st century to 60s and how Thomasin McKenzie goes through the 60s life, it's really great. How she changes from character with Anya Taylor-Joy and Eloise, and Anya Taylor-Joy and Eloise, and Sadie Eloise. The way they do that, especially in one scene where she dances with somebody, it's really good because he is always in the center of the screen, and Eloise/Sadie, they just change into between each other. They go behind him, and then the other girl comes out. So you have to see it for yourself. The choreography in this movie is awesome. But yeah, sometimes I do have to say this movie is a little bit cliche, just a little bit, but it's not annoying. It's just not every story is perfect. Story 180 to 200. This movie has extremely awesome characters. Let's just start with Eloise. because she's just great. She's kind of like an introvert in the story in a world full of extroverts, and it's great. She has this gift where she can see the past. It's like very interesting. You don't really get to see why she has that gift, but she has it, and it's okay for her to have it because it moves the story along. And to see her go from this girl in the background, really scared, really silent, to this girl that almost stabbed someone. In the movie, you'll know when that happens. It's great, and the acting from Thomas and Mackenzie right there is really awesome. Furthermore, you have John, a boy where the love interest of this movie, you can say, he was great, he was awesome. He was maybe a bit cliche in some moments, but he was awesome. Sadie, or all her other names, were great too. I mean, it's Anya Taylor-Joy, you can't go wrong with that one. But she did a great job, and her character was actually very interesting to see. Then we have two of the more interesting characters of this movie, and those are the housekeeper and the dude that always drinks. When you think you know what's going on with them, you think you have this movie figured out. I thought so too. I can assure you, you don't. Maybe you do for a little bit, because I did for a little bit, but you don't. Go watch this movie, it's awesome. Yeah, I get it, the roommate was a bit cliche. I thought so too. It wasn't the most perfect roommate story they could have done. That was cliche. But it didn't bore me and it didn't annoy me, so it was still okay. But Eloise, Thomas and Mackenzie, you killed it. You're awesome in this role. Characters 185 to 200. The style of this movie is beautiful. Of course, it's Edgar Wright, so I'm a little biased by it because he's just great and he can't do anything wrong with it. But it was great. The cinematography was awesome. Everything looked so incredibly beautiful. We have this room, and outside is a stupid neon board flashing red, white, and blue. And it works for the story. He writes it into the story and it's great. It's Edgar Wright. The pacing of this movie was great. It did some really awesome things. It went by so fast, it's awesome. The choreography in this movie is great. The way we go from Eloise to Sadie in just a single scene, like 100 of times, it really works. The way they portrayed Eloise in the mirrors and in the reflections, it worked really, really, really fucking good. It's really interesting. You see her being enclosed and getting free, and it's awesome. And it wouldn't be an Edgar Wright movie if we didn't talk about how they used the soundtrack, because this movie is filled with awesome songs, is filled with an awesome soundtrack, and it obviously works. It's Edgar Wright. It's not as perfect as in Baby Driver, but it's still a really, really decent and really good job. Style 145 to 150. In the beginning, when the story was evolving a little bit, I do have to say I thought I had this movie figured out, and I was actually a little bit sad because of that. But in the end, I wasn't, because I was wrong. I was dead wrong. Yeah, this movie gives us a lot of mystery, and you can't help it but want to figure out how it all happened and what is happening and who is who. So in the beginning, you think you have figured it out, and you actually go for the rest of the movie with that thought. And then in the ending, when they reveal all, it's mesmerizing. I mean, I got some of it before I saw it, but not everything. And the things I saw were still mind-blowing, so props to that. Surprisement 80 to 100. Anya Taylor-Joy did a really good thing in this movie. She was really awesome. However, I thought she was gonna kill this movie and be the main part and central point about this movie and the best thing about this movie, because I have seen Thomas and Mackenzie in less good acting roles, but it was actually Thomas and Mackenzie who really killed it for me. Because her character did some things in this movie acting-wise, and she made her character do some things and go through some really tough shit, and it really worked. And the way she handled her character was awesome. And I'm gonna say it, I don't think she will get one because this still is horror, but I do hope Thomas and Mackenzie gets an Oscar nomination for this because she was really great. Talking about the Oscars, one person I do know already, I haven't seen the movie, but I know she will be at the Best Actress score, Kristen Stewart, and she has a great chance of winning it. I mean, she plays Lady Di. You know she's gonna be at the Oscars. But I said it, I do hope Thomas and Mackenzie will be there too, but I just doubt it because it's a horror movie and the Oscars never really got to acknowledge the horror genre. And I don't do this quite often, but when I see an Oscar-worthy performance like this, I just have to give it to them. 150 to 150, a max score. The critics luckily didn't hate this, so they gave it at 67 to 100. I still think that's low. I'm gonna go 45 to 50. And what did you expect? Full 5 stars and a heart, 55 to 50. Yes, it's possible. Granting the movie Last Night in Soho a total score of 907 to 1000 or 9.1 to 10. You probably haven't seen Last Night in Soho yet, but do you want to see it? Let me know in the comments down below, because it's really awesome, it's a really good movie, and you have to watch this in movie theaters. It's absolutely worth it. If COVID cases are just gigantic in your country, maybe consider going on a less packed moment, but still go. Thank you. Goodbye. Oh, and if you're logging off from your computer, just don't forget to give this video a like. Don't forget to comment and post your comments. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It really helps out. It really works for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Thank you.